guys, welcome back to the Pineapple Party Podcast. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Pineapple Party Podcast. My name is Jensen and I'm your host. Today we have a very good buddy of mine. We have a very, very special guest, the handsome, the amazing, the always inspiring Mr. Hayden, all the way from Australia. How's it going, mate?
Good, man. Jensen, how are you?
I'm doing very well, and it's an absolute pleasure to see you. I think the last time we had a proper conversation, the last time I saw you was obviously when I was still in Australia, like about a half a year ago now.
Was that after your show? You did that little, there was that open mic night?
Yeah, probably. That would have been the last, I think.
There was some tough performances to get through there, man. I remember that guy before you. He did like an hour of just like this horror-themed rapping. Yeah. And the scariest part about it was just having to listen to it. It was so tough, man.
And I remember, like, we were getting, I wasn't drinking, but you guys were getting drinks. And then we were just sat outside, like, talking. Okay, I think I should go back in. Like, my set might be up soon. I don't want to miss it. I don't want to embarrass myself. I go in, and he's still, like, halfway through his 1 hour set. And I swear, like, everybody's been told. We were all told, like, hey, you have, like, 15 to 20 minutes. You know, do as many songs as you want, but 15 to 20 minutes, and then you keep it moving. But I don't know, like, he must have had like blackmail information on them or something.
Oh man, I reckon he probably booked himself for like 3 or 4 sets. That's probably what happened. There you go. It was so tough because like I remember that first act. It was like those 2 guys went up and one of them was beatboxing and I couldn't even tell he was beatboxing. He was that good. I thought it was a genuine beat. Yeah. I was like, shit. Okay, we've got some good acts out tonight. Yes. And then between that and your performance, there was just nothing, man. It was just tough. I was like you were good. You brought the energy. You were hype. I love your music, man. I remember bumping that like when I found out you started doing it, like especially that week leading in. I was listening, and then got there. I thought it was all going to be similar to that, and then it just was some weird stuff.
What goes up must come down, bro.
Yeah, exactly, man. It was good to finish on that one, but it's good to see you again, man. It's been months. That was like October, November.
That was November, because I flew back from Melbourne, November. And I had a funny story on my flight back as well. So when I went to Australia, and I love Australia, I love Melbourne, I love you guys. Like, I had such a wonderful time there. But a part of me was also looking for, like, the crazies. You get me? Like the crazy people. And I'm so blessed and just so grateful that my last contact with Australia, as of now, before I, if I do go back, was one that's that, because on the flight back, there were these 2 ladies that boarded the flight on the same flight, and you could kind of tell they're from like the outskirts of
like out of the city.
To put it nicely,
because we were always around the city, so it was like real nice people around. Yeah.
Exactly. It's just city people, right? Like people that, they've seen a plane before.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So you ran into a couple bogans. That's what we call them.
I was going to say, bogans, And the whole flight, and it was 8 hours on my Jetstar flight from Tullamarine Airport to the airport in Singapore, then another flight to Malaysia. But for the entire 8 hours, it's like, what's going on here, mate? Do you think the TV's working? Can you check if the TV's working? And then, like, no one around them were brave enough to say anything. And I was, like, scared, too. Like, I was scared that she might start biting me or something, right? So I just sat in my seat. And then they were to my left, like the left upper corner. So I was just looking at them the whole time. And they were, like, 1 or 2 rows in front of me as well. So, like, I could hear them the whole flight. And it's like an alarm clock that just never goes off, And it's like, so we're going to Thailand. Do you think they have mobile data there? And the whole time, just nonstop. Like, it's not working. And I kid you not, I'm genuinely not exaggerating. It's like they don't have an inside voice.
Oh, nah. It's just all like, they're the people that, it's so weird because Australia's like, Melbourne's not very sober. Like I feel like most Australians are pretty talkative, but then like the second you get like those people who are really talkative around, everyone shuts up.
Oh
No
yeah.
one wants to be a part of that
Oh
conversation
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
are roped in and you aren't leaving that conversation.
Oh yeah. It's like you're being held hostage.
Yeah, especially on a plane.
Oh my
That's
god. Yeah.
actually, but because like I'm so used to, I've been taking a lot of flights, like short flights around Australia, and I'm so used to just like you get on, headphones on, blast your tunes, no one else around you, like it's just you. Because like I was just solo flying, and then like I did one trip to Tasmania, like an hour, and I was like, I'm just gonna like not put my headphones on and see if I have a conversation with the guy next to me. And sure enough, this guy, we were going over to a footy game. My mate was playing his first AFL game in
Hell yeah.
Tasmania. And this guy, I could see, like, from the uniform he was wearing, was a part of the company that counts the stats for the AFL. So I looked at that. I was like, in. We're going to be boys. He was probably like 50, 60. Also saw, like, an Italian necklace on, like, his neck. And, like, I'm Italian on dad's side, so I just thought,
Wait, what does an Italian necklace look like? Is it just the Italian flag?
Could
you imagine?
I didn't even. That would be quite funny.
He's wearing his passport.
Yeah, he literally just has like green, white, and red tattooed
Yeah,
across
exactly,
his chest.
exactly.
Like, no, it's just like you see an old man with just ridiculous chest hair, silver chain, and I don't even know how to describe it. I've just seen all my older family members wearing it, but it's like this silver oval, and it's probably got like some Jesus depiction on it or some other
Okay.
religious depiction on it.
Okay.
But like it's one that if you know what it is and you
If
see
you know,
it, you're
you
like,
know. Okay.
this man's from the Mediterranean side of the world.
Yeah, fair enough.
And him and I had a chat, and like we were just talking about footy the whole time, like probably about 20, 30 minutes. And then he goes, oh, how are you getting to the game? We've actually got a hire car if you want to come with us. Like we'll drop you off at your hotel and then take you. I was like, sweet. This whole talking to strangers on the plane thing is going great. Like, we're one from one right now. And so get off, and I've got like maybe 2 hours between getting off the plane to when the game starts, and I wanted to get to the hotel, which is like 20 minutes from the airport, and see a bunch of guys who are flying over from Perth. So I get to the airport, we get to the hire car section, and I was like, I'm rolling with the VIPs, baby. This guy's got a hire car. We're sweet. And he goes up, goes to get the car, and then the guy's like, yeah, no, that account, the card's declined. Like the account's suspended because there's unpaid stuff on that account, so we can't give you a hire car. I was like,
oh god,
I can't be seen with this guy. I can't be seen rolling around with the losers. And this went on for like half an hour, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And then the other guy who was with him that I didn't really speak to, he had to get to the ground to help set up. So he was like, you just get in the taxi with him, go to the ground. So I did, and I was like, I've got to go to the hotel first.
Yeah.
So then he goes to the ground, asks the taxi driver how much it'll cost to go to the hotel, tries to pay for it for me, and then the company card declines. I was like, these guys get paid by the AFL to count their stats.
Yeah.
And they are clearly not getting paid.
You guys are amateurs, man. You guys are amateurs.
Yeah, what is this? And then he pulls out his own card and pays for me from his own card. So I got a free. It took about an hour and a half. No, that one.
Okay. Go.
No, it took about an hour and a half. But the one time I went onto a plane and was like, I'm going to talk to a stranger. Got a free trip to the hotel. So
yeah. And you got a story to tell as well,
Exactly. Yeah, it's a story of just things getting declined and suspended. So I won't say which company it is, but clearly they've got to get a bit more professional.
100%. And that's amazing because, like on the flight back as well, where the two bogans were, enjoying each other's company. I had these two lovely ladies next to me. So I was on the seat on the left, and the middle seat and the right seat were taken up by these two best friends. And I think they were well into their 60s or 70s, and the whole time I was just talking to them, and they were getting so pissed off at the two crazies in front, like going off about peanut packaging and all that they started, like, one of them, the lady closest to me was like, piss off, like whispering loudly. It's like the whisper that you do when you want people to hear you.
Yeah, but you don't want them to know it was you.
Exactly. But then I was like scared that I was gonna get eaten via association.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm just like nervously laughing and all that, because I'm like, okay, like I would say something, but they genuinely look like, bro, they look like human bulldogs.
Yeah, that's a pretty accurate depiction of
I
what a
kid you
bogan
not,
looks
it's
like.
insane, bro, and I was so amused because it genuinely felt like a scene out of a movie, and like, as crazy as people get here in Malaysia, I think the Malaysian culture generally, not I don't know how to like specifics, but generally, I think Malaysian culture is a little bit more low key in terms of like how we speak and how we express ourselves in public. But then in Australia, it's like the complete opposite, which is why I love Australia.
Oh, it's very loud, yeah.
Oh yeah. So I was like, I felt like I was like, I didn't even pay to watch movies. At Jetstar flight, they don't come with TV, but I got this thing going on here. It's, oh my god. But yeah, they were talking with me and everything. And then at the end of the flight, they go, hey, if you ever find yourself back in Australia, you can just stay over with us. And they've been like flirting with me the whole flight, bro. I'm like, hey, if I'm ever like, like gilf hunting,
Yeah,
Melbourne.
silver foxes, man. That's what
Melbourne,
I'm saying.
bro. Melbourne. I'm back there in a sec.
Oh man, that happened to me at work. I was because we worked at Zambrero, I guess for anyone
Yes.
that's watching doesn't know. And we opened up a store in the city, so I was working there, and this lovely couple who very youthful looking, but if I had to take a guess, maybe 60 plus.
Okay.
But gorgeous, gorgeous young women. And they come in, I make them a burrito, and then I'm just sort of walking back and forth through the store, and they ask someone, "Oh, where's the young man who made this burrito?" So I get
Oh.
called up. I was like, "Fuck, what have I done? What have I done?" And this lady goes, doesn't say anything to me. She just turns around. She goes, "Will you marry me?" I was like,
Oh.
yes, obviously, let's go. I got myself a sugar mama, sugar
Yeah.
grandmama. This is
Yeah.
what it's all about. And yeah, she was just flirting with me for the rest of the shift. I was just back and forth the next 20 minutes. Every time I came into her eye line, she was just flirting with me. I was like,
Wait, did she?
this is what it's all about.
But knowing Zambies, like she would have had to stay like at the front counter then.
So there's the store in the city. They've got the table literally 5 meters across from the front counter. So like,
Okay.
there's one table there. It was her and her friend, and couldn't
Just
do
like
the
staring
double.
at, yeah.
Yeah, so they were going like this, and then I'd walk and they'd go. I was like, ladies, how are we? How's the food? And then as I'm leaving, gave her a big hug and a kiss on the cheek, and haven't
Oh,
seen her
that's sweet.
again. But fingers crossed, holding out hope that
Fingers
us
crossed.
star-crossed lovers can meet again.
Yeah. Well, hopefully she's still healthy.
Yeah, fingers crossed, man. It's
Fingers
only
crossed.
been like a month, but fingers tightly squeezed. I
I
reckon I'd
mean,
feel it inside if something happened to her.
like a gut feeling, right?
Yeah, I just
Yeah,
get
yeah,
this
yeah.
sickening feeling in my gut.
Yeah, because you guys are so connected now.
We got that. I mean, we were going to get married, just things
Mm.
got in the way. People,
Yeah.
life happens.
Health complications,
Yeah, I
Hopefully
was
not.
hoping to get in before that. That's the only way you can get a house
Mm.
in Melbourne. It's just
Like, get in
marry
the
an
will
old woman and
beforehand.
wait for her to cark it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about that inheritance.
Oh man. But yeah, I had such a wonderful time working at Zambies with you guys. And I remember, like, now that, we're talking about footy, I remember towards, I think, September onwards, when I would go to the one in Richmond, because that's where we used to work. I would see people like wearing the Richmond like jersey for
Yeah.
for the AFL. Is that when like the finals are played, I think?
Yeah, so during September's like when the finals are, so it like heats up. That was my first year in Melbourne,
Mm.
and like the footy culture in Melbourne's so different to anywhere else in Australia. Like it was intense on grand final day. I don't know if you saw, but that night, Swan Street, the street Zambies was on, got shut down because there was too many people just out and about after the grand final.
Really?
Yeah, like they had to block it off for maybe, I don't know, I couldn't see the end, but like from one end to probably at least a few hundred meters where like cops had to barricade in so no cars could get in. There was people on top of vans, like people just going ballistic.
Wow. Wait,
Yeah.
when was that?
It was the last Saturday of September. The grand final is always the last Saturday of September.
No, I traveled. I traveled.
Yeah, but
I
I was
traveled.
literally on that street, and then I left to go out with some people from work onto Chapel Street, and then
Yep.
about half an hour later, I see on my phone Swan Street's just shut down, like on someone's story. They're on top
Oh
of a
my
van, just
God.
going like this. Someone's
Yeah.
got like fire, like this, waving around. Like it's the craziest. It's things you see from like ridiculous riots or like the European soccer where they're all so into it, and you
Yes.
never see it in Australia with sports.
Yep.
But like just that 500-meter section of Swan
Oh
Street
my
was just going
God.
ballistic. And I was so sad I missed it.
Oh yeah. Wait. Well, how did you miss it though? Like, surely it happened like the whole day, no?
Well, so the during the grand final, like no one's out and about. Like the
Mm.
streets are dead. Everyone's somewhere watching it.
Mm.
And then I think like the few hours after, everyone's getting their drinks. There's a lot of people still at the ground celebrating. There's events on at certain places. And then I'd say like I guess 10-ish, 11-ish is probably when these events shut off or pubs try to kick people out or people are deciding they want to go out. And then it just sort of all congregated that everyone was on the street at the same
Right.
time
Right.
and
Right.
people
Right.
were just going crazy.
Right. Okay. So it's just kind of like a coincidental kind of like
I
everything
think so.
happened at the right time.
Yeah, I don't know if it just happens every year in
Mm.
Melbourne. Again, this is my first year. I know it's happened before, um, but I don't know if that's like an every year thing or it's just like people were just up and about this year. The beers tasted extra good.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Alcoholic content is a little bit extra high, you know.
Oh
Everyone's out
yeah,
and
man.
about. Yeah.
It was a nice day. It was like over 25 degrees. So for everyone in
Oh shit.
Melbourne,
Okay.
that's like hot as. They were probably
Mm.
sweating. They were all dehydrated.
Mm.
Had nothing but beer since 10 a.m. and all sweating it all out. So they
Yeah.
would have been
Yeah.
going crazy.
Yeah. There you go. Well, how did you get into footy to begin with?
I think everyone's into like most people are into footy in Australia, and then I sort of like you play, you watch all that. There's probably like 6, 7 years where I didn't really care for it, and I was more into cricket.
Mm.
And then started playing again after one of the guys at the cricket club said to come down, and I didn't realize then I was getting roped into an absolute hellhole. Like I was 16, and this guy at the cricket club like captained the top side at the club I used to play juniors at. He's like, "Yeah, come back down. You can play in the under 21s, the Colts, it's called. Um, the boys need some numbers. Get down." Didn't realize they hadn't won a game for 3 years in the
Okay.
Colts. So you get there, we're having like you've got like 18 people on the field and four on the bench.
Okay.
We were getting like 15, 16 people rocking up a game for our team and just getting destroyed every week. So it was
Right. Okay.
brutal. We got one win that year, so hooroo, let's fucking go. But
That's what it
um,
counts.
exactly. And then from there, some of the guys I played with went to school with this guy who started a footy podcast with his mate, and then met him once, and they were all like to him, "Oh, Hayden knows how to talk shit. He knows how to dribble forever. Like you should get him on," because they were just getting like their mates or other sort of random people on. So I got on. The other guy, one of the guys left the podcast, and then I joined as a host.
Mm.
And then like that week, I remember we messaged like every single player that was on an AFL list. So there would have been like 40, 50 blokes we messaged from the WA teams, West Coast and Fremantle. Messaged every single one of them. I think we got 3 responses. And then the first guest we had was the other host, Seb. It was his stepdad. And then from there, it was Sam Sturt, who plays for the Freo Dockers, Will Schofield, who played for West Coast Eagles at the time, and Cam McCarthy, who played for Freo Dockers. Unfortunately, just passed away 2 weeks ago. Cam McCarthy, which is
I'm
quite
so sorry to hear that.
upset. Yeah, it's quite an upsetting one. It really rocked a lot of people in the AFL world,
Yeah.
but all three of them were just such amazing people. Sam's still playing for Freo, Will's in commentary, and Cam was just everyone that knew Cam loved Cam. I didn't know him very well, but you could tell he's one of those just amazing people. But
Yeah.
from there, we just sort of kept trying to interview people, and then the more people you get on, the easier it is to get other people on because they've seen them do it, and then it sort of just kept going, building, and then it sort of blew up over COVID because I remember it was the most random thing. I was at work at this pizza place, and I was like, I didn't know what we were going to do during COVID. I was just like, we don't have to do any content, it's whatever. And I saw this guy from the West Coast Eagles, Nick Natanui, go live on Instagram with Tame Impala, which is Kevin Parker. Like they just
Bro.
went live together and were just
Okay.
interviewing each other, and I was like, that's
Okay.
the roguest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh my God, I can do that. And so then we just hit up a bunch of people. Like we hit up interstate people because we couldn't get people from interstate on before. And I was
Right.
like, oh, this is perfect. We can just interview people over Instagram Live. And then that way it also goes to all of their followers immediately
Yes.
when they go
Yes.
live. So it was a gold rush. I was like, this is amazing. We were getting like draft prospects on, so the under 18s that were going to be in the AFL next year. Um, and no one was really doing that at the time with the under
Mm.
18s. So we were like the first. So cashed in on that. And then we got a few AFL players on as well because they were bored, had nothing else to do. So it was like, let's go. And then it just kept sort of, going and going and going.
Yeah.
And, we did the podcast as well. And then the other host moved away and he's sort of focused on his radio work now. So the podcast doesn't exist so much anymore, but I still do YouTube videos with the under 18s. And then at the end of the year, I'll do a podcast with those under 18s ahead of the draft.
Right.
So
And these are
that's
like
sort of
future prospects, basically.
exactly. So these are the blokes who, at the end of this year, will become AFL players. So that's why I moved to Melbourne. Like in Perth, you get maybe 20 of those blokes a year, and 10 of them will get picked up. But I remember
Mm.
last year, I went from having like 20 guests in person a year to like 100 and something, just because I came over to the Eastern States. Because it's like that much bigger over here.
So would you say a lot of like footy culture is centered around Melbourne?
All sports culture in Australia is centered around Melbourne, except the rugby. The rugby is Queensland and New South Wales.
Okay.
Everything else is Melbourne. You would have seen there's that spot where it's like the MCG, is Amy Park, which is the soccer stadium, and then
Yep.
you got the tennis courts, like the tennis stadiums, and I think one of them might even double as a basketball. I could be wrong, but they
Mm.
could have the basketball there as well. So like within 500 meters, you've got like this 100,000 seat stadium that does the AFL and the cricket. I don't know how big the other ones are, but like the soccer, tennis courts, basketball, like all just so close to each other. Like it's so huge over here, the sports. It's way bigger than anywhere else in Australia.
And are the majority of AFL teams based in Melbourne?
Yeah, so there's 18 teams. Melbourne has 10 of them. WA has two. South Australia has two. Queensland has two. And New South Wales has two. And then Tasmania is getting one in about 3 years' time. And the Northern Territory, nothing. Because
Right.
it's a
Okay.
bit tough to go there. But yeah, it like started as a Victorian competition.
Right.
Like it was just the Victorian teams. And then it expanded like in the 80s or 90s, I think. I don't know, before my time. I couldn't tell you exactly, but it expanded to include teams from, all the different states. And over the last 20 years, like more and more clubs have been joining. And so there's 18 teams right now. There was like 16 when I was born. And then there was another two added like 2010, 12.
Mm.
And then there's one more getting added in a couple of years.
Okay. So it's a sport that's still like very much growing and
Yeah,
blooming
it's,
into like its final form.
I guess so. I mean, every time you think it is at its final form, like it's sort of got more to go. And there's a lot of like it's very different to the soccer or the basketball. Actually, I'm not too in tune with the basketball. I couldn't tell you, but in terms of like the teams, a lot of clubs, like especially in the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s, there's a lot of clubs who like two teams were like, oh, we're out of money. Let's merge to become one team. So there
Yeah.
was a team in Fitzroy, which is just like a suburb in Melbourne. There was the Fitzroy Lions and the Brisbane Bears. Fitzroy went over to Brisbane and they became the Brisbane Lions. So that's still a team now.
Okay.
And so there's been like instances of that happening, and there's teams that have abolished. But since like the last 30 years, it's been pretty steady with where it's at. And obviously the money's ridiculous now because better broadcasting rights and all of that.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So you mentioned just now there's 18 teams now, right?
Yeah, and they're going to make it 19 in 3 years' time, I think.
Okay. And that's the team coming down from Tasmania.
Yeah, so there's a lot of because I don't know how much you know about like Australian culture, but like it's very big on like the main cities like Melbourne from Victoria and Sydney from New South Wales. They're like glamour. Everyone thinks they're just amazing. Like There's just everything's going on there.
Yeah.
Brisbane, Gold Coast, like up in Queensland, they get a pretty good rap. Like people seem to like them. Brisbane's very racist, but still good weather, so people just go, yeah,
balances
all right.
out. Balances out.
Racism, good weather. Okay,
I'll take it.
Yeah, and then like Tasmania and Adelaide are really boring. Like everyone, like Tasmania's got multiple cities, but everyone just shits on them for both being really boring and
like a very quiet.
Yeah, they're quiet. If you live there, you're from there, I think it's nice. I've been to both of them, and I think they're nice, but I wouldn't want to live in either of them.
Fair enough.
And then Perth, I think most people just not forget about, but it's just like so far away. Like it's 3.5, 4 hours flight from Perth to Melbourne. It's like 3,000 Ks or something.
Good God.
I know, it's ridiculous. So it's hard to get back home because that's where I'm from, and so like it's hard to get back there. It's expensive, and Perth's amazing. Great weather. Like very spacious. A little bit less racism. No, there's. I was just about to say there might be a coincidence between how good the weather is and how racist people are.
I think that might be it. Yeah.
Because Queensland's pretty racist and has good weather. Perth is pretty racist and has good weather. Like
I had such a good time in Cairns. Like the weather is sublime.
Yeah, I haven't been. I actually still haven't been to Queensland because it's from Perth. It's so expensive to fly anywhere else. The cheapest place you can fly to from Perth is Bali. Like, if you wanna leave the state, it's cheaper to fly to Bali than it is to like Adelaide.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I know, it's the weirdest thing. But I had like speaking on the racism in Perth, I went back like for a few weeks just last week. I came back and like Melbourne's so like for me it's like so progressive with like everything. Like it's so supportive of every race and every gender and like all the pride stuff over here. It's very supportive. And then you go to Perth and it's like I just hear people throwing around racism at work like it's nothing. Like people just saying the most racist thing and just moving on. Like that was just a part of their sentence, and then just they keep talking.
And I never noticed conjunction.
I never noticed it before I moved to Melbourne. Like I did a bit because everyone sort of we rib each other with racist jokes and all that, and then like you go to Melbourne, you go back to Perth, and you're like, oh shit, no, this is we're taking it a step fast sometimes. Some of this is like a little like some of it's still funny and in good taste, and then there's a lot of it that's just like, oh, that's just racism. That's not a joke.
We're taking a step back 100 years, baby, with this one.
It's like, all right, not a part of this conversation. Keep it up.
Yeah. Well, they would probably be happy if you exit the conversation.
Oh, probably, man. We had this. I used to work at this warehouse, and like I copped like a little bit of racism throughout my life because I'm like very ambiguous with my color. Like, people don't really know if they can be racist to me or not sometimes because they're like, is he going to get offended? Is he not? Like sometimes I think they want me to, and it's like, just too light for that one. And
one of us, no.
Can't quite tell. And I got to this new job, and like me and my mates, like we always, you rib each other about something you have. And so, because I'm the darkest out of my mates, which probably says something about how white everyone else is, just in this one group, like they get me with the racist jokes. And it's like, if racism's all you got on me, I must be doing pretty good.
But, you're doing well. You're doing well. You're good.
So there's a few of us working together in this warehouse. We're just sort of in the office space, and there's this real old prune-looking man. Like apparently he was 50. He looked about 70, and he spoke like this, and he was from the country, and he was always hunched over. And I was like, okay, I'm going to avoid this fella.
It's nice all man. The racism.
Yeah, he was
it's
very
way
nice,
down on him,
apart from the racism and sexism and probably homophobia and other stuff, he was quite nice. But
he's an angel.
He was sweet. But if you exclude everything bad about him, he was great. And I remember we hadn't even spoke yet. And one of my mates like said something racist to me as a joke, and turned around. It's like, oh, mate, you keep that up, I'm going to report you to HR. And so Norm comes off his forklift. He's heard this, and he goes, matey, I'll tell you what I tell my nephew. If you don't like it, you can fuck off. I just started pissing myself.
Wait. If you deep it, right?
Yeah.
Him telling the same things to his nephew could imply that his nephew is also a person of color.
No, so he then said something. I can't even repeat what he said after that because it was so racist about his nephew after that.
Oh, there you go.
And I was just like, what the fuck?
That's
That's
crazy.
unreal. Like that's the most just country, especially the country West Australians. They're the most
Mm.
racist people I've ever met.
And this
Like
was back in Perth, right?
yeah, this is all
Okay.
in Perth. So like the kids from the country in Perth, it feels like they're supposed to be racist. It's weird when you meet one and they aren't. It's like, oh, come on now, man. Are you really from the country? Like they're such normal people, and they're not like racist towards people. And
Mm.
you'd sort of like, yeah, it's whatever. And then like something will happen, or like someone will come on screen when you're watching a sports game, and they'll just make this comment, and you're like, whoa, yeah,
Whoa.
yeah, fair
Whoa.
enough. Like,
Yeah.
say what you need to, man.
A karate
Get
match
it all
comes
out.
on. Karate match comes
Yeah, oh
on.
man, wouldn't even want to know. Like, just get it all out in this private space, man. Just get it
Yeah,
all out of your system now.
yeah. That's crazy. Yeah,
Yeah,
I do remember. I think you've told me and Kanako this story before, right? Like,
oh,
of
probably,
the
man.
old man at the.
I love telling that story because it's so
Yeah,
funny to me. Like,
yeah,
just it's the one thing I least expected. Like, just from a bloke I'd barely spoken to, not even spoken
yeah.
to,
Well, that was the
and it
first
was
impression.
yeah, and I was like, great first impression.
Yeah.
I'm gonna love this guy. Like, there was this. We had this. I think she was Malaysian. I can't quite remember. It was like, and maybe this is racism. I mean, who knows? But like Malaysian, Singaporean. It was one of those like island Asian countries. So it's like
Fair enough.
Pacific Asian countries.
Yeah.
And there were these Chinese symbols on these boxes going around. And I knew they were Chinese because it said from China on there. So just put two and two together. I was like, those are Chinese symbols.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And Norm picks the box up, goes like this to that chick, and he goes, "What does this say?" And then just throws the box up and goes, fucks off, just pissing himself laughing. I was like, this guy's good. This guy's always got something.
He goes, read.
Yeah, tell me. Are they shipping something? Is it the communists again? He was getting Vietnam flashbacks.
Oh my god. Oh
All
my
he could hear
god.
was just shooting and landmines going
Yeah.
off or something. I don't know,
He just
man.
starts like shaking his head. Starts shaking his head
Yeah,
and shit.
but anytime there was too strong a breeze and the branches and the like trees was flying around too much, just shaking around like this, man. It was getting crazy out there. It was, yeah, fun space, man. I think, I feel like people here need to be exposed to a little bit more racism just because, like, they're too sensitive here. It's
Where
like,
in
you need
Melbourne
to,
you're talking about?
yeah, in Melbourne, it's like, man, you don't, like, I'll say something about, like, myself, and then people will be like, ooh,
Like,
and
ooh,
I'll be like,
don't
like,
say that, bro.
man, yeah, I'll be
Yeah.
like, fuck, did I miss something? Have I,
Yeah.
like,
But
I
it's
think
you, bro.
yeah, yeah, genuinely, I'm like, oh, it's not an issue, and they're like, don't know if you can say that one, man. And it's like, hold on, I was getting that said about me before. Like, now I can't even say it about me. This is too big a switch up. I think I needed to go to like an in between city first because I didn't realize everything I was saying was just so bad until I come here and everyone's like, ooh, don't know about that one.
Where would
And
you
then you're
say
like,
is that in between city then?
oh man, I don't know. I feel like it's just racist or not racist in Australia.
Yeah, I kinda, yeah. Well, what's Sydney like?
I've never actually been to Sydney.
Okay. 'Cause
Like I think Sydney's, I was about to say worse than Melbourne, but like more drastic than Melbourne with like how politically correct they are. Like there's a big like focus on being PC, just from what I've heard. I'm pretty sure like when the first wave of I guess positive media or positivity about homosexuality like came from sort of Sydney, but like all the Mardi Gras is in Sydney. I think that's been going on since the 70s. And I actually
right.
heard this story of this guy from Sydney called Trough
Okay.
from the 70s to the 2010s. And this guy, I got no validation on this story. I'm pretty sure if you looked it up, you might be able to find it. But this guy would go to gay clubs in Sydney and sit in the urinals and get guys to piss on him. Like, like they were I don't know how it was, respected in that day, but he did it for a while from what I heard about it. And that is a lot more progressive than anything I've heard coming out of Perth. And that was 40 years ago. So
And now he's a legend. He's a legend.
yeah, Sydney now must be like very good with how they treat everyone.
Yeah. I mean,
it's just expensive to live there.
Yeah, because it's like, it's the big two, right? Melbourne and Sydney.
Yeah, and then Perth's probably number three. No bias in that one. I'd say it's like
I think
people
it is
forget.
genuinely.
Oh, I think the beauty about Perth is, especially for people that travel and backpack, is that most of them can't afford to come to Perth and do the other states. So all they hear is all these great things about Perth. And then in their head, they're just like, wow, Perth's so amazing. I'm so sad I didn't get to go. And it's like, oh, man, if you went, you would have been so bored. Like, so fast.
And then word of mouth spread, and now Perth is, like, up there.
Yeah, I'm guilty for it. I'm so guilty for it. Like, people will be like, how's Perth? And I'll be like, it's actually just the greatest city in the world. Like, I went home for the summer, and I was sitting with a mate watching the sunset over the beach. It was like, genuinely, it was beautiful. And I was like to him, and I honestly don't think he's ever left Australia. And I was like, man, like, been around the world a bit, this year, and been around Australia a lot. I actually don't think it gets any better than Perth. And he's like, man, I know Perth is the best place in the world. Like, it's so awesome.
One of one.
I was like, you've never even left, brother, and that's fair enough. Like, people from Perth will either tell you it's the greatest place ever, like it's just awesome, that nothing beats it, or it's just so boring and there's nothing to do and everyone wants to leave. There's like no in between.
To be fair though, if the only negative thing is that it's boring, that's pretty good.
Man, exactly. Like, you can't get around there if you don't have a car. Like, public transport's just pointless over there. But that's also just like a normal thing for me. It's like everyone's got a car. Even guys who don't have a license, they just drive around, in their car. Like, my mate failed his driving test twice. He just gave up on it and he's just driving around and cruising.
Look at me, I'm doing good. I'm doing well.
Yeah,
like, I can drive.
I'm like, sometimes I forget that he doesn't have his license. You'd be like trying to get in somewhere and he'll have to pull out his learner's permit or something. It's like, what the fuck, dude?
Right.
Pulling out his passport to get into the club. Like, you ever done that? You ever had to pull out like the passport to get into like a nightclub?
Well, yeah, because I was in Australia. Oh no, but the thing is, I refused to take my passport because so I'm a little bit paranoid with travel documents and stuff, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's so nervy. You don't want to lose it.
Exactly, and like, it's massive. So like, I want something that can just easily fit in my pocket, and like, I don't have to think about it. But then the one time I went clubbing in the city, and this was right before I left. Like, I had a group of friends who all brought their passports, and they're like, Jensen, don't forget your passport. I'm like, it's chill. I have my Malaysian, identification card. I'll just show them that. But the thing is, on the Malaysian identification card, it doesn't actually state your birth date explicitly. There's no DOB 31st May 2002, blah, blah, blah. They integrate it into your IC number. So it's kind of like a code thing. So I remember like standing in front of the club with 20-30 people behind me because it was like a weekend night, and then this big bouncer staring at like my picture from when I was 12 years old, going, "How old are you, mate?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm 21." It's like, "Where?" So here, see, like 02, so 2002, 05, May, 31, 31st. And he looked at me, looked at the card, looked at me, and at that point, I kind of like, I wasn't caring too much, so I let my stubble grow out a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if I looked like a pervert or whatever it was, but I looked not under 18. And he's like, all right, mate, just get in. I paid, and this is chill,
Yeah, I think the weirdest I've ever had is I lost my wallet once, and so I didn't have ID, and I always carry my old driver's license, just in case of a situation like that. And I was like, all right, what am I gonna? I didn't have a valid passport at the time, and I was going out that weekend, so I was like, all right, what am I gonna do here? Photocopied my birth certificate. So I'm pulling up to this club, and like when you're just doing something that like really shouldn't be allowed, so you go up so sheepishly and you're like, before they can even say like, "Hey mate, let me beat you to it."
Yeah.
Don't have valid
Yeah.
ID.
Yeah.
Here's an old driver's license, and here's my birth certificate. Just unfold it from my pocket. Here's my birth certificate.
Yeah.
What can we do here? And he's like, let me get a manager. And they come out. They come out, expired driver's license, which a lot of places will still let you with an expired driver's license. But I was like, let's
I
be
mean, it
safe
does
here.
show that you are of some age.
Exactly. So yeah, some people don't accept it. It's like, what? The card's expired. My birthday isn't. Like that's
Yeah,
still
exactly.
when I was born.
I'm here.
That hasn't changed. And the manager looks at my driver's license and looks at the birth certificate, and I think just out of pity, they're like, "Go on." This guy's tried pretty hard to get in here. He clearly wants to go in.
Yeah.
Went in, terrible night, left after 40 minutes. Like, just
Oh man.
it's the way it always goes. And clubbing's one of the most overrated things ever. And yet I still used to get sucked into going every week thinking it would be better than last week. And it never was.
Oh my god, me too.
Bro, because it was just FOMO. It was like, fuck,
Yeah.
what if I don't go and everyone has the best time ever without me? Like,
That's
I don't wanna
never
miss
the
out on
case,
that.
bro.
No, and then you go, you've spent hundreds of dollars on like, drinks, you're getting there, getting in, and then you're like, oh, this is just as shit as it was last week.
Yeah. And like, you think people are having the time of their lives, but they can't even remember it because they're just pissed drunk.
I used to have, well, not used to, I had this one mate who would come out with us he was like a few years older, never used to go out, never used to drink, so he would drive us, and he'd be sober, and it would hit like 12:30, and I'd be like, I'm so ready to call this a night, and then I'd maybe stick it out. I was always the first one that was ready to call it a night, and so I'd stick it out for half hour, and then someone else would be, and we'd go up to him, his name, we'd call him Windows, and we're like, Windows, like, you ready to go? And he's just sober, alone by himself in the mosh pit, just going, no, let's stay, this is great. It's like, what? How are you enjoying yourself? You've had nothing to drink. Like, I'm blind, and I'm just ready to get a feed and go to bed. But that is you. Yeah, I forget you don't drink because you're that much fun.
Yeah, because, like, sorry, you were saying you want to...
No, I was just saying, like, it just blew my mind that he was always the one, like, who wanted to stick around the longest when he was sober. Because if I was sober in a club, I wouldn't even want to go in.
Fair enough.
I couldn't imagine that.
Yeah, but I could relate to him though, because I'd be the one driving, because I don't want to pay for an Uber. So an Uber in Australia, Grab here in Malaysia, right? So I don't want to pay for like a taxi or any like e-hailing service, because they're always stupid expensive. Around those times, like after 11, I think it's after midnight in Malaysia, where the rates just balloon up like.
Oh yeah, they do the surges in Australia. It's just ridiculous.
Exactly, because they're trying to like target those people who go out late at night. They have to take the car back, and I just go sober. That's why there's been so many times where, like, when 1 a.m. hits or when 2 a.m. hits, and you're like, I could be asleep right now, and then you're looking around, and everyone's like, ah! And they're all drunk, and no one is aware of what's going on, and everyone's so out of it that no one can form like a single coherent thought of like, what am I doing here? And everyone's just kind of like sweating on each other. That's what it's like, bro. It's just like a bunch of eels like slapping each other around.
Yeah, but I think my favorite thing to do at a club, and I've realized now you can just do it at some pubs as well, you just go up to the DJ and try and get him to, like, you just request songs that are like really niche 2010 songs. I don't know if this artist ever hit Malaysia, but his name's Tim-O-Matic. I don't know if
think so. I'm not too sure.
I reckon he was only ever big in Australia, and he was one of those artists that, like, I don't know if you have them in Malaysia. We get a few in Australia where they have like 4-year careers where they're great, but only within your country, and then they just disappear. You never hear from them again. And then like 6 years later, they're back doing like a little reunion thing, getting their little cash grab.
Yeah.
And so we would always request for DJs to play Tim-O-Matic at clubs.
Okay.
Like, that was just our thing. And then it was so great because they'd play a song, and you could see everyone around just for like 2 seconds go like, what the fuck is this? And then they'd all be like, oh, fucking Tim-O-Matic. And people would just go ballistic, and we were like, yeah, this is what it's all about.
Oh, so he was big in Australia.
So like everyone that would be around my age, like, because he had that 4-year period, like, I think just a lot of people knew him, like, because of that 4 year period. So people in that age demographic to be out at those places were like, they'd hear Timbermatic and they'd be like, oh, let's go, what a throwback. And we'd just be at the front going ballistic, just singing up. And then Timbermatic would stop playing and we'd be like, all right, now what?
Let's go. Windows, we gotta go, bro.
Let's wrap this one up, brother. It's time to get out of here.
Yeah. But that's the thing as well, though. It's like, to me, right? Okay, so the thing is, I'm such a nerd because I would go to clubs at like 11.
Yeah.
Like people come in after 12, 1, and then they stick around till 4-ish, whatever, then they bounce, right? I come in 11. Guest list, I pay my 20 ringgit, which is how much? It's like $6 to $7, like Aussie dollars.
The big bucks.
Yeah, exactly. Go in, and then, you know, my friends will go get drinks. I'm like, oh, it's cool. And then as long as the DJ's already playing music, I'll just be the first one to go to the dance floor and just start vibing. And then people will be watching, and then slowly, one by one. And then when it hits 12 is when people are drunk enough to where they don't care enough to be like, oh, like why not just dance? So that's when they start pouring in and start filling up the dance floor. And then it's like, all right, it's cool. And then around 1 or 2 is when everyone and their uncles, their cousins, like whoever the hell it is there, packed up in this tiny dance floor, just sweating on each other. And at that point, I'm like, bro, like, what am I doing here? But I'll stick it out. I always stick out for an hour and a half. And then I try to look for my friends. And I don't want to be the guy that goes like, hey, let's go.
Yeah, especially when you're sober. Like, you don't want to be like, I'm going to ruin the night for everyone.
Exactly. And I want them to think like, oh, he goes hard. You know, he doesn't want to leave. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's cool. He's our cool friend.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. Yeah. He doesn't drink, but he's cool.
He's cool.
So I'm like, I always go up to them, hey guys, you doing good? And I do anything and everything except tell them directly, hey, let's get out. Right? So I'd be like, oh, like, it's kind of hot down there, bro. It's really sweaty, you know.
You cool, man. You look tired, bro. You look like
right? I can book us a Grab, bro. I can drive us home.
Bro, you need to sober up. Here's some water. Let's get out of here.
Yeah,
man.
Exactly. Hey, you got work tomorrow.
Yeah, but you'd love going out in Perth because like the night starts like not complete opposite to Melbourne, but like shocked me in Melbourne. Like in Melbourne, a night out starts like 10 p.m. is like when you start to get things going. In Perth, that's like you want to be getting to the club if you're like properly clubbing. You want to get there like 9 to 10 p.m. and then a lot of the clubs shut at 2 a.m.
God damn.
So it was like if you want a good night, there's like the few that are open till 6 a.m. But they're always like the greasiest, grossest places.
Yeah,
like if you fuck with that, then by all means go for it. Like you can get a full night out of it.
Yeah.
But I remember there's probably one instance where I've stayed at a club till close, which was like 5 a.m. And it was just the most depressing thing ever because we got to like 3:30 and we were like ready to call it, and then we thought, let's just stay here till the place closes. Like let's just see what it's like.
It's an hour and a half.
And like, oh man. When the lights go on the T floor when that place closes, then there's like 9 people around, and because it's Perth, you're like, I know you, we live next to each other. It's like, get me out of here. You leave, the sun's rising. It's like this isn't right. Right?
You
this
look around.
Healthy.
You look around. Oh, we used to go to school together.
Yeah.
Auntie Annie, what are you doing here?
Yeah. It would literally be that. I would refuse to go to like any of the middle-aged places just in case I saw like my auntie there. It was like, oh, I want to run into my auntie on a night out.
That's rough.
Like they're the best places to be fair. Like where the middle-aged crowd's going, that's where you know it's a good party.
Yeah.
Like it's just people who are genuinely just out to get drunk and let loose. Whereas like you go out with like the underage ones, not the underage, but like the 18 to 22, 23, it's like horny, drugs, just finding out what alcohol does to you, and it's just the strangest combination of individuals.
Yep. I've seen. I remember one time I went clubbing. I saw this like guy my age. He's like a uni student, and I don't know who he is, but I've just seen him. I saw him multiple times because guess what? This guy went up to every single girl, asking to dance. And I watched him get rejected by every single one of them. Yeah. And he just went around like it's trick or treat, bro.
I respect it so much, and I just could never do it. Like,
I respect it, but I also really don't.
I respect I don't know if it's courage or a lack of like
Self-awareness.
dignity. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but just to be like, I'm going for it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there's been a couple of times where like, yeah, I've macked on with someone at a club, and it's like I don't really know what's happened. In all honesty, it's just sort of happened, and it's like, let's go, boys! Huge W's in the chat.
Yeah.
And my mate, Windows, the sober one, he'd be like, how do you do it? And not to say that I was like always macking on. This would be like once in a blue moon. He'd be like, I just don't know how to do it. And so like, just lying out of my hole trying to give him some advice. I'm like, man, you just got to go up. Like, you just got to ask him. Like, I've never done anything like this ever. I was like, you just got to go up, act confident, man. Yeah. And he goes up to this girl. It goes up to this girl. I was like, what's the worst that can happen? She says, no, who cares? You don't even know her. She's not real. Like, whatever, man.
Yeah.
Goes up to this girl, and he's like, I didn't hear the conversation, but I assume he just asked her how she is and if she wants to dance. And she says no, and he comes back, and he goes, that wasn't even that bad.
Yeah.
She said no, but it wasn't even that bad.
Let's go.
I was like, you're a better man than I am, mate, because I would not have caught up and spoke to her. Women, scary. Don't even get me started.
Fair enough. Yeah, I agree.
Vegans are pushing your luck.
And going back to what you were saying about when the lights come on.
Oh.
That's when the regret starts, bro. Because like when the lights are off, everybody just looks the same. Like we're all just having a good time. Yeah. We're all just doing the same thing. You know, some people are smoking, some people are drinking, some people are, you know, maybe the heavier stuff. But we're all just dancing, having a good time. But when the lights come on is when you see everybody's faces and the state of everybody. And I remember this is a story from about 2 years ago. When I first started uni, when I first came back to Malaysia, and this was like my first sem on campus. And me and my buddy got invited by this group of girls from Mauritius or Seychelles, one of them island places, right?
Nice.
So they were drop dead gorgeous. And they invited us because one of them were having a birthday party.
Yeah.
But it was to like some random shady club on top of this like abandoned like old building. And the floors were creaking. So I didn't even know if it was the DJ spinning the records or if it's just the
floorboards getting ready to bust.
You know what I'm saying? So it's all right. We showed up. We had a good time. And then I was dancing with this girl and we got into it a little bit. But then after that, I was like, oh, like I'm having a good time. Like I'm new to this. I'm having a blast. Like this girl likes me. We're getting into it. And then like 4 or 5 a.m. hits and they turn the lights back on. And then I go, ooh.
That's like, you don't even need words, man. That's the most just, oh.
I go, huh.
And then that's gonna make you wonder what they think about you, man.
Bro.
Just like, oh man.
Bro, the lights come on.
Lights are your worst enemy. When you're a few drinks in, lights, get rid of them.
We were talking about racism. At that moment, I swear to God, I hope the racist stereotype was true, and I couldn't see, because the lights came on, and all I could think is, huh. And then my mate who saw like me and her getting into it the whole time, I went up to him and I'm like, bro, she was cute, right? And he's like, yeah. So, all right, cool. And outside the club, I saw her again, so I just said my goodbye, and they took a taxi home. And I go, wait, bro, don't lie to me though. Like be you know me, like we're close, we go way back, like. You know me, I'm straightforward. Just tell me the honest truth. Like, I can take it. Be brutally honest. She was cute, right? He's like, yeah. I mean, you had a good time. You had a good time, right?
You had a good time.
Yeah, I think so. And then on the taxi ride home, I go, actually, bro, was she? I don't think she was that cute, dude. And then he's like, yeah, whatever you say, bro, whatever you say. I mean, you did it. It's done.
Hey, man.
Yeah, he's
as long as you had a good time,
He's like, to each their own, bro.
Bro, she had a cute personality for sure.
Yeah. 10 out of 10 character, bro.
Yeah, I think it's because like, like that feeling when you see like just a pretty girl, like just in a random place, like you can be at the airport is like a classic when you see like this pretty chick your age, and in your head you're just thinking about how she's the most amazing person ever.
Yeah.
I reckon when the lights are off, in your brain you're just filling in the gaps of what you can't see.
Exactly.
So in your head you're just like, she is so gorgeous, like all these beautiful little aspects of her, and like
Yeah.
this is perfect, this is perfect, and then the lights come on and you see just like the tiniest little flaw, and you're like, oh, this isn't how I imagined you in my head at all.
Yeah, exactly.
And so just the drastic change, because you're just like, you're looking in the mirror and you're like, well, obviously this is a 10 out of 10 supermodel. Like, this is going to be the most beautiful woman ever. I mean, look at me. And then
Exactly.
the lights come on and you're like, oh, you're only a 9 out of 10.
Oh no, it was. I would have been happy with a 9 out of 10, bro. I would have celebrated 9 out of 10.
Yeah, these things happen. I got a great story from a taxi ride. I don't know if I told you this one. This is when I was in Ibiza, and not a fan of Ibiza personally. Don't know if I just did it wrong, but very overrated. And we were in the taxi, and it's like 11:30. It's been a long day. It's like 11:30 at night, and me and my mate are in line to get a taxi. It's like a 40-minute line, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm out of it. Like I'm ready to just call it a day. And we finally get to the front of this taxi line, and we're hopping in the taxi, getting our stuff in the trunk, and then these two beautiful women come up, and they start speaking, and I'm like, what the fuck are you saying? Like, I don't understand you. And I gather that they're speaking in Spanish, and I try to see like if we can get anything. They don't know any English. I don't know any Spanish. I'm just like, yeah, see.
Google Translate. Google Translate's your friend.
So every country I went to, I didn't have data for the first hour.
Oh,
I didn't have any
enough.
cell service. So I was like, can't do anything here. We managed to comprehend that we were both going to the same place. And so I was like, sweet, get in our taxi if you want, whatever. Get in. And I was like, just in my head, I was like, I mean, I guess I can't really do anything about this. like I don't know how I'm going to cook here. But, see what happens. And then like 3 minutes in, she hands me her phone, and it's got Google Translate up. And she's giving me this story about how they got scammed with this car they were going to hire or something. And, we're just going back and forth off Google Translate for a bit. And then, she hits me with the, what are you guys doing here? And I was like, obviously came here to party, you know what I'm saying? And she goes, are you going out tonight? And so I just hit her with the, nah, we just touched down. It's pretty late. We're going to see a mate because we're all from Perth and haven't seen each other for a while. She says something, hands the phone back to me, and I was going to hit her with the, where are you headed tonight? Maybe I'll see you there. Hit me up. And as I'm typing, connection drops out.
Oh, no.
So we're just having this chat going off Translate. I was like, yeah, let me cook. This is going great. I look on the maps. It's still like 17 minutes in the ride. I'm like, I've got time. Like, I don't need to rush this at all. And so back and forth. And then I'm just like, it's not working. I look, data's cool, and then we just spend the next 15 minutes in complete silence.
Oh, that's so rough.
Because we can't communicate to each other. And like in hindsight, there was things I could have done. Like I could have at least gone onto Instagram and given her the search bar. Like I could have asked the taxi driver. He spoke Spanish and English. These are all in hindsight, but that happened, and it had been a long day. And I just went, this is fucked. This is the worst thing ever. Like genuinely, just that. The rest of the car, I just. Wow.
An occasional glance at...
Yeah.
That's rough. See.
And then the taxi driver gets to me and my mate's hotel first. And he goes, do you want to pay for the whole thing? Or do you just want to pay for half? Look at them. Look at the fee. It was like 40 euros at that time. And I just went, I'll pay for half. So he charges me 25 euros.
Yeah.
And then I get out, and I was like, never see those women again. And I'm like, oh, man, what could have been? She was the one, definitely.
No signal, no cover.
No signal, no play.
Yeah,
That's how I
exactly.
go. I need that data, otherwise I'm nothing.
Exactly. And yeah, and going back like on the going back to my story as well, like on the taxi ride home, I was still asking my friend
Yeah.
like, she wasn't that bad, right? So like when the lights first came on, it was like, oh, she was good.
Yeah.
And then half an hour later, as we progressed, as we got close, I think the closer we got back to mine, the more it started, like the wheels started turning. And by the end of it, when we touched down at my place, I was like, no, what did I do? Like, I was like, oh my God. It was so grim. It was so grim. I was like, that? I was like, that? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, you were into it, bro. I saw you.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I didn't know the lights weren't on. Like, it was rough. It was rough. And the thing as well is, I think because the lights were off, like, her big forehead didn't really shine like a shadow, didn't cast a shadow. So I didn't realize. And when the lights came on, I was like, whoa. I had to look up.
Well, it's like the opposite. Most guys are looking down. You've just gone straight up. Sorry, just checking out my reflection.
Felt like Alien versus Predator, bro.
Fuck. Yeah, it's cool, man.
Oh, that's rough.
Oh, I don't know what's worse about that. The insult that you just called yourself a predator.
No, I should say
man.
I felt like prey at that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like the prey at that moment.
Hey, man, love conquers all. Yeah.
It conquered me. It left me in a pile of ruins. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
Hey, she could have been amazing. And there's nothing weirder and more, I don't know if I'd call it flattering, but it's like when you first meet like a girl and they're just like, yeah, you're like, yeah, that is a woman. Like, and then you start to get to know them, and then all of a sudden, like a month later, you really get to know them. And you're like, she's so hot. She doesn't look any different at all. And it's like, fuck, that's actually fucked how much a personality can change how hot someone is.
Yeah, because I think that's like the whole point of connection, right? Like, because your appearance is one thing, but to actually get to know someone and to actually connect with them, you know, you can do so by talking and like actually getting to know their personality.
Yeah, so like you could have got to know her, man. You could have given her a chance.
If I was interested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, fingers crossed you guys get to meet parts again.
I'm alright, bro.
Doing like this. Sorry, you got the wrong guy. Jensen's my brother.
Yeah.
My name's Benson.
Kind of racist. That's not me.
Whoa. That's very racist of you.
Right, imagine she comes up to me.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm so terrible with like faces sometimes of like people I slightly know, like people I should know. And I get it wrong with all people. And there's nothing worse than when I get it wrong with like a person of color and it's like, well, now it's racist.
Yeah, exactly. But in reality, you just can't recognize them, right?
Yeah, like there was all those, like working at Zambies, you have like a lot of the kids, like the 16-year-olds, and there was like 4 white 16-year-old chicks, and I didn't call any of them by their name for 3 months. I just called them all Big Dog because I was like, I'm gonna get their name wrong here. Like I just can't do it. And then the second it's like a person of color, and it's like, fuck, now this is panic times. It's like, oh man, how do I approach this this situation here? Like I can't ask them for their name again. I just always introduce myself to everyone, even if I like know them. I was just say, hey mate, nice to meet you. Like even if I know them, and even like really good friends, just so they don't catch on. Yeah. It's like now I've got your name. Exactly. That's how I get you.
You set it up, bro. Set the scene.
Yeah, and then they don't give me their name, and it's like, all right, well, go fuck yourself.
Well, next step, Instagram.
Yeah. Like, hey man, what's your gram? Hit me up.
I don't use Instagram, bro. I'm sorry.
Crazy weather we're having, man.
We'll go back to Big Dog, bro.
Yeah. Hey, good to see you, champ.
Yeah, good to see you, champ. What a mate.
I don't know, in Malaysia, do you guys have any like words that aren't offensive but are offensive if you call someone that? Because like in Australia, getting called champ, especially like as a bloke, it's so demeaning.
Really?
It's like what an old person, you know, like I don't even know if you'd get this, but like buddy.
Yeah.
If someone calls me buddy, I'm like, all right, back the fuck up,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Like, what are we trying to get into
Yeah.
here? Like, man, when someone like champ is what I get from like the 50-year-old like
Yeah.
bricklayer when I'm out mixing his mud for him, putting, he's like, hey
Right.
champ, can you do this? It's
Right.
I
You
got.
know.
It happened when I was back home last month, and I was like just doing the labouring for Dad with bricklaying, and there was this new guy there, and I hadn't spoken to him yet, and I had my back to him, and I've got like just shoveling the mud. He goes, "Hey champ," and I was like, "Fuck, that's me, isn't it?" And I turned around, and I was like, "Can you get that for me?" I was like, "Fuck, can't believe I've just been champed that hard."
Yeah.
The worst part was that I knew it was me as well. I was
Yeah.
like, "Fuck." He said champ, and there's just no one else who could be here except
Yeah.
me, and I can't do anything about that. Just the
Yeah.
ultimate, like, I'm the alpha, you're the beta, do this, bitch.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand.
When in reality, it's just a word. It's,
Yeah.
you know, apparently in America, it's very nice to be called champ because they're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I'm a champion.
Yeah.
Fuck it, you can't champ someone over here.
I had no idea like calling someone a champ in Australia is a demeaning thing.
Yeah, it's supposed to like it isn't, but like some people, myself included, you do it, and it's like I think now it's become a lot more ironic as well.
Mm.
But like it is just like champ, buddy, sport, that stuff. Like when
Oh,
you get
sport.
called
Okay.
that, yeah,
That's
like
a
it's
crazy
that ilk
one.
of stuff where it's like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm superior to you.
Yeah.
You are beneath me. There's this cricket game like in the Australian T20 comp, and this guy who's like Australia's greatest ever opener in short cricket, like David Warner, like one of the best ever. He's going out to bat, and he's got his mic on, and this 22-year-old comes out to bat with him. David Warner goes up to him and he goes, I think it was champ or sport or something like that. But he goes, hey, champ, welcome to the crease. And the other guy goes, don't call me champ. It's like, yeah, that's the most real thing I've ever heard.
Fair enough. You gotta give him credit. Like he stood his ground, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. Do you have anything like that in Malaysia?
I think if you call someone boy,
Yeah, okay.
but not like what's up, my boy. It's like aboya. Like if you just call
Yeah.
someone a boy,
Yeah.
it's. But it's not that. I think for us, especially if it's like someone that's a lot older, it just
Yeah.
comes with the understanding that he just means someone that's younger.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there is. 'Cause,
Yeah.
Australia's just a very big, I think just a culture of assholes and being an asshole to each other.
Maybe.
And always, so it's probably just
Maybe.
that.
But-
It's like the last 5 years, people just like, nah, I'm sick of being called champ.
Well,
Don't
to be
do it.
honest, I'm guilty of this too because, like, I know that if you call someone buddy,
Yeah.
that's not like a buddy of yours, right? It's there's like a negative implication.
It's like, hey, buddy, how you
Yeah,
going?
exactly. So there's
Oh,
been
you-
times where,
Patting their head and everything.
yeah, like that. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, buddy.
So there has been like a few times where if I see like a guy that looks really tough, right? Like you got tattoos,
Yeah.
some big jack dude, I will try and like put that into a sentence as I talk to him. So,
Yeah.
oh, cheers, buddy. I'll always say
Yeah.
I'll say stuff like that. I'm such a dickhead, like. So I know the implications.
Yeah, I try. Like, I don't usually do that. I do like to mates. You know, you go, hey, squirt, how you going? Or
Yeah.
my favorite's hey, muscles. Yeah, it's just such a good one. Hey, muscles, how are
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
And there's this one guy. Like, I feel like I'm pretty good with like not being sensitive about my masculinity or anything like that. But then there would be this one guy that would constantly come into work, and for no reason other than the fact that he would always call me buddy, I hated him. Just despised him. Every time I served him, he'd be like, hey, buddy, how are you? And he'd be like, thanks, buddy.
Oh, thanks,
I hate
buddy
you
is
so
crazy though.
Yeah.
That
and,
is
like,
so
he knew.
unnecessary.
We
That's so
had the eyes,
unnecessary.
and I was like, you know
Yeah.
exactly what you're doing.
What
It got
you're
to a
doing,
point
yeah.
where I would just get someone else to serve him because I was like, this
That's
guy,
crazy.
this guy.
Oh, so he was a
knows
customer.
He was a customer. He'd just come in and he'd be
Oh,
like, hey, buddy, and I'd be like, fuck off.
Yeah.
No. Go to Kuzmani Gomez as far as I can. Like,
He goes-
go anywhere but here. You are banned.
The thanks buddy is the crazy one.
You'd go, it's like on the way out as well, like a
Exactly.
little drive-by shooting.
Exactly. There's nothing you
Yeah.
can do about that.
Yeah.
It's like right before the door
yeah,
closes.
We'll see you squirt.
He waits till the door like, thanks, buddy, and just walks away.
Just runs.
Yeah,
Bolts.
it's like a hit and run, bro.
Yeah, the worst is when you get like someone who looks like they're around your age. I think especially because I'm very young looking. Like I'm 23. I'm very youthful looking 23-year-old.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, it'd be like I remember one time at a cafe, someone who looked maybe a couple years older than me, probably around my age, called me buddy. And I was like, that's criminal. That's fucked.
You and me outside right now, bro.
we are not doing this.
Yeah. You and me outside right now.
Fuck off. Like none of that. Oh, it's the worst.
Oh man. Let me think. What else do we have here? Well, the hard part is with Malaysia because we have, like the three main languages spoken here is the four main languages spoken here is Malay, and then Tamil, Mandarin, and English. So it's like each language has its own version of buddy and sport and all that. But let me think for English. Yeah, I think just boy, aboya or like agirla, like with the Chinese accent, really hits home, bro.
Just to be like, you are young, you are youthful. I'm the master here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You are smaller than me. Not even younger, like smaller than me is crazy.
Yeah, you are beneath me. Actually, I met a Malaysian chick.
Yeah.
At the tram stop, like 2 months ago, I think, maybe 6 weeks ago, something like that. And because you were the first, like, proper Malaysian guy I'd ever met. Like, I'd met Malaysian people, but it would be, like, Malaysian Australians.
Okay.
And so you were the first Malaysian I'd ever met.
Yeah.
And, like, you were so outspoken. Like, you were just...
I am not a good, accurate representation, my friend.
Well, you're inspirational. Like, just how you would get a conversation out of literally everyone you served. I remember one time you were serving a customer and you and him were having a conversation about tennis, and by the end of it, both of you realized you didn't know anything about tennis or even like the tennis. And I was like, how the fuck have you done that? Like, you guys turned to me to ask a tennis question, and it was like, I don't even know, like the tennis, and it was like, it was just about like one of the Australian tennis players at the time. I think it was Kokonakis, or maybe it might be Greek. It's about him.
Yes.
And like, that's how little I know. I don't even know what country he's from, if he's just Greek Australian or if he's Greek. And you guys were talking about that, and neither of you knew. And I was like,
I still don't have a clue about tennis, bro.
Yeah, you had a 2-minute conversation about it, and then by the end of it, you both realized neither of you knew anything about tennis. I was like, that's amazing. But I met this Malaysian chick, and she was a comedian, and she was so outspoken. Like, she came up to me, asked me if she could have some of my water. This was like midnight at the tram on like St Kilda Road. Comes up to me, she's like, can I have something? Like, do you have any water? I was like, yeah, go for it. Starts chatting to me, and then I sit down, and then she comes up and starts talking next to me, and very weird chick. You know, granted, I'm a very weird guy, and we just spoke for like the next 20 minutes. Like, got off at the same stop by coincidence and spoke there for like 20 minutes. And I was like,
that's amazing.
Is everyone from Malaysia just like the most bubbly, confident speaking person ever? Like,
no, well, I mean, obviously not, but like that's why I say I'm not a accurate representation, because my experience as a Malaysian who grew up overseas, who then moved back to Malaysia, is very different to how a lot of people experience Malaysia. Of course, there are a lot. I think Malaysia generally has a very open and accommodating culture. You know, with certain things considered, right? But I think if you are a tourist, or if you're an international student, or you came from overseas and you're visiting Malaysia, people tend to be quite hospitable. And if they don't show you hospitality, they kind of just mind their own business. Because I think generally in Malaysia, we are a little bit quieter compared to Australia or other Western countries, right? But I think as much as we have a lot of people who are extremely friendly and accommodating and very kind and hospitable, like, oh, can I get you something? Oh, welcome to our house. You know, have you eaten? Let me cook something for you. As much as this is a real thing, there's also a lot of like skepticism of like, oh, that's a stranger, I'm not going to talk to you, because I faced that, because I talk to like anybody, and the amount of times I've had like before I even say anything, dude, it's like it's like I'm a disease or something. Like I go up to them, you know, it's like their spidey senses are tingling, and he's going, no. So I think it's a balance of both. So I can't say we are very shy or we are very warm or welcoming. I believe we genuinely have a big, not majority, but we have a big percentage of people who are genuinely like the most welcoming and the most accommodating and the most friendly out there. But at the same time, like especially me living in a city, right? I live in the biggest, basically the capital city in Malaysia. You have so much skepticism and so much worry of like stranger danger that no one talks to each other. Yeah. And if you try, you get the stares like, oh, that's the crazy person in the train.
Yeah. Now you get that over in Melbourne as well. I don't know if it's different to like Malaysia just from the scope, but like in Perth, if I'm going for a run around the park or like walking past, especially like old people, like it's always like, oh, good morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, g'day. How's it going? Yeah, you're not actually having a conversation, but you just sort of, even at the very least, you just lock eyes and you give them the smile or the head nod, raise the eyebrows, anything like that. People in Melbourne, you walk past them, it's like this.
Yeah.
Like just head down. They don't want to look at you.
Yeah.
Like I'll go for a run, and I remember I was going for like a decently sized run. Probably ran past like 50 people just because it was like a lot of people on that day, and no one looked at me. I was running for like 2 hours or something, 2.5 hours, and I think I had one person who like gave me a smile and nod that whole time and said good day. And it was actually a famous ex-AFL player, Dean Cox, who'd spent a majority of his life, I don't even know if he is West Australian, but playing in Western Australia. Okay. So it was like the one guy across 2.5 hours that acknowledged my existence as a human being was essentially from Perth. I was like, shock horror. Like everyone from Melbourne just head down, didn't look at me. And the one person that gave me anything was Dean Cox, who's from Perth. And I was like, huge, let's go.
Yeah, but I think the environment has to do with it as well, right? Because like if you're in Melbourne, if you're in Kuala Lumpur, if you're, I don't know, like in London or in Los Angeles, like these big cities where everyone's so stressed out and there's so much like crime, there's like poverty's rampant, and like people are just aggressively just going about their everyday lives, you know. So I think everyone's kind of just like locked in, and it's like, don't talk to me, I just want to get through my day.
People like you shut yourself off to the world, like so bad, and like I'm guilty for it as well. Like just if I don't go to work, like if I have a day where I'm not working, some days like I will go the entire day not having spoke to anyone. Like I'll just wake up, put my headphones on, I'll go to the gym, do my food shopping, you know, come home, just whatever, you know, watching TV, playing PlayStation, something like that, and then the whole day's gone by and I haven't spoken to anyone.
Right.
It's like, what the that's wild to me. Right. Like I'm so used to, I think from Perth especially, like you always run into people you know, so you sort of have to have the conversation. Yeah. But like people over here, it's real, just like you shut yourself off to everyone else until you're where you need to be.
Exactly.
Like it's a real big thing about that.
Yeah, and the thing I don't like is I find it hypocritical is not the word, but I find it ironic that it feels like it's only when they can get a benefit out of it. Then they're like the friendliest person ever. They're like the most talkative, the most outgoing. But if it serves them no purpose, they'll just keep to themselves. Don't approach me. Don't talk to me. You're nothing. You know, move on.
It's like, I get it because it's a comfort thing. It's like, it's so much easier to go the whole day with headphones on, listening to your music or your podcast, and then you don't have to talk to anyone else and have awkward or tough conversations or like anything like that. It's so easy and it's so comfortable. But like you just forget, like sometimes I have to be like, all right, I'm just not going to wear my headphones for 15 minutes here. Just see what happens. Just if I walk past someone, then there's like that opportunity just to say, g'day, how you going? Yeah. Like just that tiny little thing. Yeah. Because otherwise you shut yourself off so much to everyone.
Yeah. And that's amazing. Like, Because why not? If it's just 15 minutes, why not?
Yeah, and even then, it still feels so like drastic. In my head, I'm like, oh my God, am I really gonna go walking here without my headphones? Like, am I really
Could I
gonna
make
do
it out
this?
alive?
Yeah, like 60 years ago, my grandparents, they were like, oh, man, I gotta move across the world from Italy to Australia, and all these people don't speak the language I speak, and this is tough. And I'm like, I have to not wear my headphones?
For 15 minutes?
Are you kidding me? I went to work. I got dropped off at work yesterday, and I usually walk to and from work. It was like 40
Yes.
minutes. Forgot my headphones. And when I realized that as I was about to leave, I was like, oh my God, I can't walk home under these conditions. I'm gonna have to take the bus. I was like, I cannot. 40 minutes of walking with no headphones? No, thank you. Fuck that. I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm getting on the bus.
I'm booking an Uber.
I had crossed my mind. I was like, and it's only like $10 for an Uber.
Yeah, exactly. You start weighing out your options.
I was like, oh man, that's fair enough. But it's crazy, man. Just how much you like shut yourself off because it's just that comfort space.
And I think like adding on to what you said about like it's so easy nowadays, right? Because for you have your headphones. I think like everybody's just as soon as they get onto the tram, as soon as they get into the train, it's just their phones are out, whatever, right? Even if it's just pointless, like aimlessly scrolling through TikTok or whatever.
Yeah, the most mind-numbing stuff where you're just taking in nothing.
Yeah, but like for me, like when I don't want to talk to people, there are times where I just go headphones, or there are times where I just look at my phone. But I think for me, I just look out the window a lot.
Yeah.
Because, well, to be fair, I am like a tourist in a way, right? I was an international student there, so I just looked out the window a lot and like see what's going on and stuff like that. But yeah, it is a very interesting observation. And I mean, I don't know if it's sad or not. I think it's just naturally how things are evolving.
Yeah.
But I think it's also nice to like just stop ourselves every now and then, just root ourselves and then just look around and say hi a little bit,
Yeah, it is. That's why I love playing footy, especially. Like when I went home, I played 2 games, one in the city and one a few hours out of the city. This is in Western Australia, and like, I like cheat a little bit when I'm defending playing footy. Like I will just hold on to their jumpers like this, like at the back, so they can't run away from me.
Okay.
And because it's like low levels, it's only 2 umpires. They're both ahead of us, so they can't see that I'm holding on to them. So like these blokes will be getting shitty at me, and they'll start swinging, like they'll be punching my chest, just going at me. But then sort of like it always happens where like after like 15, 20 minutes when they sort of just give up on it, we're just joking about it with each other the whole time. And I remember there was this great one on like last Sunday where I was playing in Dalwallinu, which is like a farmer's town, 3 hours out of Perth, and get there and I go down back and I like the second I grab this bloke's shirt as he's trying to run, he goes wild. Like he's like, I'm gonna break your fucking nose, like throwing himself at me. Like I had bruises on both my arms. He's going ballistic at me for like 3-4 minutes here. Bro. And I was genuinely a bit like, I wasn't showing it, I was still revving him up. I was like, oh fuck, I'm gonna get the shit beat out of me here. And he's like, I fucking hate smart cunts. I hope you're not a fucking, if you're gonna keep being a fucking, so I'll bash you. I was like, I can tell why you don't like smart people, mate. Like I just had to go at him for having a dummy spit and all that. Told him I'd call his mum to pick up his dummy if he wants to keep crying, and he was ready to go. I was like, shit. Next quarter, I'm running into the inside 50, like my defensive area, his attacking area, and I was like, I'm just not gonna go on him. And then one of the guys goes, yeah, you go on him. I was like, and so
hello darkness, my old friend.
Happens again, and I'm just sort of holding on to him like this, and like just holding around his gut like this. The ball's ages away. And then we just start joking about it. He's like, oh, were you trying to cop a feel or something? And I was like, yeah, didn't get any last night, mate. I got to get a bit of love and something, And then we just, like I think he still wanted to bash me. But like, throughout the rest of the game, anytime I was doing it now, we were joking about it. And then when the ball would come, then he would bash me legally. Because I don't know if anyone's seen footy, but like it's a very physical sport. Like, like that game, right at the end of it, I don't know what happened because I got a head knock where like me and this other guy were both running at the ball. and I don't know what's happened, but I've come away with the ball, like gone running a bit. Nothing's happened. Like players still continue. I kick the ball, and I do this terrible kick straight to the opposition. So naturally, I drop to the ground and act like I'm really hurt. And so I was like, yeah, that's my excuse for it. It's not just because I'm shit. Put my hand on my head like this, and I look, and I'm bleeding. And I was like, oh shit, that's not good. Wonder how the other guy's doing. Turn around, he's just unconscious on the floor, like fully unconscious, and like everything's still going on just
so
fine.
So he ran into you.
So I don't know what's happened because like I genuinely just like because I've got a head knock. I just didn't. Right. I don't recall that like 5 seconds.
Oh sure.
I recall running in. And I recall coming away with the ball, but I don't actually recall what the knock was. Happened, so I assume top of my head's hit maybe like side of his or something.
Right.
And he's just unconscious on the floor. And that's like all good in footy. Like fair enough. You both went after the footy. No one did anything bad.
Yeah.
Sometimes people just get hurt like that.
Fair
it's a very physical sport. So like when you get the chance, you can absolutely bash someone within the sport very legally.
Right. Okay.
Like you can't punch their head, but you can punch their chest. All good. Don't swing, but just sort of like a few jabs.
Yeah. So it's part of the sport basically.
Oh yeah, it's very like jumper punching is huge. Like you can grab onto someone's jumper like this, throw back, and then like throw them and bring them back into your fists. That's a very common thing to do.
Okay.
So like it depends on like what level you play, and sometimes people take it too far. But like I don't know if you've ever seen like if you just see like biggest hits AFL. Then I'm
gonna check that out after this.
Right, it's unreal. Some of the hits like. You get some blokes just like fully throwing themselves into someone like this. They'll just be sprinting and throw themselves in, and then blokes just get knocked out. It's unreal. Like God. It's drastic. Like I'm a pretty small fella, so I can never dish up much damage. But like some of the stuff that like goes on, it's like fuck that. I would not want to be on the receiving end of that. It's just it's so physical. But like again, everyone still comes off laughing, and then you have a beer with each other at the end. And then I think you get into normal society and you forget that people are like that.
Yeah. I think it really depends, right? Because it's like if you go into the city where everyone's just so like flooded with work and like stress, like no one really has the opportunity to just be like just to enjoy their time and just be present, which is really sad because that's just. And that's the thing, like that's just how things are. Like it's not their fault. It's not nobody's fault. You know, it's just the system.
You just get caught up with it all. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the sad thing, and like that's why I think what you and I were talking about is just we try to actively break out of that every now and then and just remind ourselves that we can just chill.
Yeah.
Like
just put the phone down for a second.
Yeah, because some people are too into it.
Oh man, it's crazy. I think I'm like, because we're like the same age, so I feel like I know I definitely just missed that generation of like they're called like iPad kids, where it's like the people who are just glued to their screens, and it's like I know people who like are my age and like they'll be at work and they're just like this at work, walking around, like phone in. It's like as a kid I hated the fact that I remember we would have like because the DS was big then, the Nintendo DS. And Mum would be like, it's your DS free day, no DS, no Nintendo. You're going to your nonna's house and you're not bringing any of your games. And I would be like, that's bullshit. You can't do that to me. This is ridiculous. Yeah. Not like that. Obviously, the way an 8-year-old would say it. But now it's like, God, I'm so glad because otherwise I'd be like, I'm bad on my phone. But you see other people and you're like, God, it could be so much worse.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I've been struggling with sleep for the past month or two now. Yeah. And one thing I hate is how I would reach for my phone as the solution. Because, like, my plan is just, I'll watch something until I pass out.
Yeah.
Because my mind's just thinking nonstop. Like, if I just sit here, I'm not going to sleep. So I might as well just, like, burn off, like, my mental energy, use it all up on, like, just watching pointless videos on YouTube. Occasionally, if I'm feeling like, if I feel self-respecting even in the slightest, I'll watch some, like, video on psychology or like philosophy, whatever, right? Otherwise it's just like TikTok content. You're just scrolling through TikTok dances,
just 3 seconds, not enough, just
exactly. And it's just you could feel your brain just like disintegrating away. Like it's
Oh
insane.
man, and your eyes are just straining like this, and then
Mm.
all of a sudden it's been 2 hours, and you're like, I could have fallen asleep an hour ago.
Yeah.
Like
So you
I
end up
could
sleeping
have.
like 3 hours later.
Yeah, I know. I tried for a little while. I tried just a cup of tea and a book. I was like, let's get real mature and serious with this. And then I did that for like 2 weeks, and I was like, this sucks. So boring. Why would I do
Back
this
to
to
the phone,
myself?
baby.
Yeah, it's like, oh, old trusty.
Yeah.
Wake up in the morning. I'm like, why do I feel like shit? Why have I got no sleep? Why am I so
Yeah.
tired? I don't know. Maybe my eyes are just disintegrating.
Yeah, that's the sad thing, and that's something that I feel like the thing is I genuinely believe if we want to fix it we can. It's
Oh
just
yeah,
the perceived satisfaction is so much heavier and so much more than the actual like benefits of just turning your phone off and sleeping.
it's like any addiction, but just because like it isn't going to kill you. I
Mm.
think there's no like real stigma against it. Like people who get addicted to drugs or drinking or smoking, it's like I think the main thing that does it for them is like the stigma around
Yeah.
it, and then just like the fact that it can kill you. But
Yep.
it's like there's no real major reason to get rid of your phone addiction.
Yeah.
Like it just sort of it makes life a little more difficult for yourself, and that's
Yeah.
just you doing it to make it a little more difficult for yourself.
Yeah.
Like
Like you
they need
might
to find
just
phones that are gonna kill you if you are on them for too long. You know,
Yeah.
that's the next evolution in
Well,
phones.
the Samsungs were exploding a couple years ago, right?
Exactly, it's
Yeah,
genius.
there you
You're
go.
on this
Bring it
thing too
back.
long, it's gonna overheat. Bang.
And you don't know
You know?
when.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, this is getting hot.
Ooh,
Played a bit of
ooh,
roulette with this
ooh,
one.
ooh.
The iPhones,
You're
they're
on the
just like,
line.
yeah, iPhones just like, I'll just shit myself, and you can pay 28 grand to fix it or get a new one in
Yep.
8 months' time. Choice
Yep.
is yours.
Yep. For
And
double the
every
price.
time I go with the iPhone, it's such a strange game. They bloody sucked me in, and they've got me for life.
Yeah. And well, to add to your point as well, I think why it's so easy for us to go, well, smoking kills, is because
Yeah.
the connection is very easy to make, right? You're
Oh,
taking
it's
in
very linear.
smoke. Yeah, exactly. Linear is the perfect word. Like you're taking in smoke into your lungs. It's not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Eventually, you might get cancer. You might not, right? If you drink excessively, it's going to your body. It's gonna damage your liver. Eventually, you're gonna kick the bucket or you're not. But then
Yeah.
with phones, it's just like, well, what's wrong? Like, maybe I'll wear glasses. Maybe I'll be
Yeah.
tired the next day. But there's
Yeah.
no direct connection between that thing and death or serious illness.
Yeah. And I think a lot
So,
of people, myself included, have a real like, I'll live mentality. And it's like,
yeah, me
all
too.
these downsides of what I'm about to do. It's like, I'll live.
Yeah,
And it's
me
like
too.
smoking. It's like, oh, well, I might not. So fair
Yeah.
enough. I won't be doing that. Have you ever smoked? I've actually never smoked a cigarette.
I've never smoked a cigarette.
Yeah, that was the one thing that I was just like, I can't even see the appeal. Like drugs, I get because it's like those people, they're having a great time.
Yeah.
Like you see someone on drugs, it's like that man is having the time of his life.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Oh,
it's like, get into a hospital. People who are
so.
smoking just always look depressed. It's just like they look like
Yeah.
they're living the toughest life, and they're just like,
Yeah.
when in reality they're just on their 10-minute break at Macca's. It's
Yeah.
like
No, yeah.
you look like you're struggling. You don't look happy on that.
Actually, that is such an interesting observation because, for the people that do drugs, like they can look happy.
Yeah, like
But
for the
then,
most part, people do drugs to be happy. I think people
yeah,
smoke to just not feel like
cope.
shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and
But
it's like, well,
smoking
the only
just
reason you need
looks
to do that
like
is because you
coping.
smoke.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's purely coping, I feel. So I
yeah.
don't know,
That
like
said, it
I've
does look cool. So it's
it
like
does look cool.
I get the appeal. You look pretty cool. You look
Yeah.
like shit, but you look pretty cool while you're doing
Bro,
it.
the amount of times I've just imagined myself as like a main character of like some action like film noir, and then like
Yeah,
I killed a bunch of like the villains and all that, the antagonists, and I'm just like, but I just never do it. I just never do
yeah.
it. I could never.
If they came up with a cigarette that just didn't kill you and just tasted like nothing, oh, you best believe I'd be puffing those bad
Yeah,
boys back
yeah,
just as a part of my aesthetic.
yeah.
Just like it's because like imagine if someone asked you a question, like ask me any question right now.
What do you think will give you the fulfillment in life that you're seeking for? Drugs, hookers.
Yeah, not sure, mate. And just by having a smoke, all of a sudden that answer's way cooler. If I just not sure.
It
It's
makes
like,
you seem wiser, to be fair. That's a very
it's
interesting
like this
thing.
is my thinking time. Just
Yeah.
in reality, I'm just chugging one back. All I'm thinking about is where's my next durry coming from.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, actually, what got me about because we call them durries, or like that's a word for cigarettes over here.
Darts,
But
right?
yeah, darts as well.
Yeah.
English people call them fags.
Yeah.
And we had this English guy, Eddie, at work, and he'd be like, "Do you know where I can get some fags?" And it's like, "Whoa, Eddie,
Whoa.
we do not call them that anymore. That is
like,
not cool."
2023, mate.
Yeah, it's like, yes. Come on now, brother. I don't know what it's like over in England, but you know, we call them the cool things like puffs. No, I'm just kidding. We just call them by their name over here.
Yeah.
It actually got me in Melbourne because like there's such a big gay culture over here, and in Sydney where there just isn't in Perth.
Yeah.
There's a nightclub called Puff Doof, and I saw that, and I was like, one, sickest name for a gay nightclub. Two, fuck, that seems like you're towing a line, but. That's the beautiful thing about being like the targeted minority is that you get to use it and then make it cool.
Yeah,
it's like yeah, fair enough. You've done a great job with that one.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you make it, you turn you turn what people like try to offend you with into your own strength, right?
Yeah, like the N-word between black people is the coolest thing ever. Like it's when they use it in rap, like calling each other like their mates. It's like that's so cool.
Yeah. Until a white guy comes in.
Where's my N-word? what do I get to use to be cool?
What do Chinese people get to use?
Oh.
Because I've seen like a lot of stand-up comedians like take on this, and there's nothing cool I can say for me as a Malaysian Chinese.
Like I remember Chigga was around there for a while.
Oh I'm not touching that no more, bro.
Yeah. You remember like Rich Brian? I remember he was Rich Chigga for a while.
Yeah, he changed his name real quick.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, that's a bold one to use. Like it was just a variation of it. Like there was Wigger as well. It's like all of these are just like, what are we doing?
He came out swinging, bro. He came out swinging.
Yeah, like I guess pay a nice homage if you want, but that just doesn't seem right.
Yeah. I think after he changed his name, that was like the statement, or like he was kind of the line, right, with that in that context.
Yeah.
When he changed his name, it became like, oh, we can't use it.
Yeah, it's like like I feel like you can still say it, but not use it, and that could be wrong. I don't even know at this point because I haven't heard anyone say it for years.
Yeah,
just because like the word died.
I would not say it. Like I'd rather just not.
Yeah, fair enough. We might have to go back and bleep that one then, just to say that some sort of get cancelled. Roll the tape back. Rewind that one. Let's start again. Hope this is getting thoroughly edited.
Yeah, but yeah, man. Like, I have never smoked before, and that's like going back to what we were talking about. Like that's I don't know. Like I get that it looks cool. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
Because I don't really drink either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, same with vaping. I have tried a vape. That just made me cough my whole up like so badly.
Yeah.
I love, as a party trick, when I'm drunk, and I haven't done this for years because I think people have caught on now. My mate would offer me a vape. He'd be like, "You want some?" I'd be like, "Yeah." And then I'd just put it in my nose and go, and then just blow it out the mouth. It's just so funny every time. Oh yeah, it does.
Oh yeah, because you're inhaling. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, and it's so funny every time. I was like, this is the greatest gag ever. Like I'm coughing for the next 20 minutes. But greatest gag ever.
But hey, hell yeah.
Yeah, but even vapes, those are ridiculous. Like the way people get addicted to vaping is genuinely fucked.
And there's no evidence saying like it's less severe than a ciggy, or like it's chill or whatever. Well, no one's ever said new. That. Exactly.
It's like no one's. It's probably way worse.
So people's convinced themselves. Like everybody's convinced themselves. Oh, it's not burning. It's just vapor. It's vapor.
I think the first year when they came big, everyone was just like, it's better than a cigarette. And then it came out that it wasn't better than a cigarette, and everyone was addicted by then. And they're like, I'll live.
I'll live.
It's like, I'll live. You won't. You won't.
Yeah.
Good on you. Like
Yeah.
I can't imagine what it's going to be like in 20, 30 years time when we
Yeah.
find out what the actual like long-term effects of it are.
Yeah.
Like, because we just don't know yet, and that's
We'll,
so
we'll be on the
exciting.
safe side, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah,
We'll be on the
maybe
safe
all those
side.
nose drags I've
Oh,
taken
yeah.
will get me. Maybe
Yeah.
that's all it takes. That one little hit up the nostrils, and
It's a
I'm
little bit
done.
too late. A little bit too late now.
Yeah. Oh, fuck, maybe I may as well just start smoking now.
Yeah. Screw it.
I've
Screw
already put it away.
it. You've taken your first step.
Yeah, I had a mate who used to smoke, but you could tell he didn't enjoy smoking because he would
Hmm.
do the old, like he wouldn't
Oh,
suck it
okay.
in.
Okay.
He'd just do the little bump puffs. He'd go,
Yeah.
and it's like, if you're gonna smoke, do it right. Come on now.
Was he doing that just for like the aesthetic, just to the
I'd
look of it,
assume so.
or?
I never asked. I just thought he looked like a bit of a tool. But yeah, I was just like, what are you doing? And then he'd
Yeah.
come back and I'd be like, legend. There you go.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, before we close off, I feel like we gotta do another episode, man. Cause like,
This has been fun.
I feel like we have a lot to talk about. Yeah.
Oh man,
And
we could just do this off camera as well. Just speak
exactly,
again, man.
exactly.
I've missed you, man. You're so fun.
Oh, thank you, bro. You too, man. I've genuinely missed you guys. Like, shout out to like you guys at Zambies. Like,
Yeah.
that was and the thing is, like, in Malaysia, working part time as a uni student is not really a thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I found that out that apparently a lot of the rest of the world doesn't have like
no.
working culture like Australia in the sense that like you always feel like you have to work in Australia.
Yeah, cause like some of the our colleagues were like what 15, 16-year-olds, right? Like high school
Yeah,
students.
that's the thing. Like we had
Yeah.
this French chick recently, and she was like, I went on holiday for 2.5 weeks, and I
Mhm.
worked while I was there. And she's like, "Why are you working?" I was like, I don't know. What else am I gonna do? It's like you can get a job at like 14 here. I remember my first job was at 13 over
Yeah,
here.
that's
In
crazy.
like Perth, just doing the newspaper rounds. It's like
Yeah.
you gotta have something. Whereas like apparently the rest of the world isn't like that.
The context in Malaysia is very different. Like the context in Malaysia is it's more like if you have to start work at an early age, people usually assume, oh, you come from like a like a poorer family or whatever it is.
Yeah,
But for Australia, it's just like, well, you can work, go work.
yeah. Those 16-year-olds at Zambrero, I tell you what, they've got a lot more net worth than I do.
They're balling, bro.
Because they got no expenditures, and I guarantee you their parents are in the millions. Because the private
Exactly.
schools over here are ridiculous.
Yeah, and they still work.
Yeah,
That's like the
it's
coolest thing.
right. The amount of like 17, 18-year-olds over here, like on their P plates, so like they've just got their license and they're driving like a 40 grand car, and it's like my first car was one I bought off of my mum. It was one she was going to get rid of because she was buying a new
Mm,
car, and then I bought it off her, and it was a good car, and she sold it to me on the cheap. Like
mm.
probably could have sold it for 8 to 10K, and she sold it to me for 5.
Fair
So
enough.
big ups to mum, but like these people are like going out getting 40 grand cars from their
Birthday
parents.
gifts,
It's like,
yeah.
yeah, it's like I know you haven't got your license yet, but here's your Range Rover.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oh, I can't wait till you drive it 2 months when you get your license, like it's crazy.
Yeah, it's gonna be great, and then they just don't get their license for years.
Yeah, it's crazy. I knew this girl from Texas,
Texas.
and a lot of them out there, if I'm not mistaken, are rolling in dough. Like they're rich. And
I've heard Texas is like on the up and up. I don't know much
yeah.
about America, but I've heard Texas is on the up and up.
And the thing is, like, cars are so cheap there. So I remember, like, at the time, I was still in high school. So she was my age or 1 year younger. I don't remember. But for her 16th birthday, I saw on her Instagram that her parents bought her, like, a Jeep. Like a 4x4 Jeep for her 16th birthday.
Yeah,
You know what I
that's
got for my 16th birthday? A happy birthday greeting.
yeah.
That's that. They wished me happy birthday and that was it.
That's what it's about,
crazy.
baby.
It's crazy.
I swear, birthdays now suck because like growing up, and like this isn't like any diss to my parents. Like they had 3 kids to support. They were unreal at budgeting and working hard. My parents, like they didn't overspend on anything they didn't have to. Like
Yeah.
mum was so good at saving money, and like we still had great childhoods. Like we still got like a Wii for us. There was like a PS3. Like we had Nintendos. We would go to Bali. Like we still had a fucking awesome childhood.
That's
And
good. Yeah.
obviously I was a little shit, so I was like, my friends have a PSP. Why don't I have a PSP? They've all got TVs in their room. Why don't I have TVs in my room? And you're asking for everything when you like for your birthdays. You just want absolutely everything when you're younger.
Yeah.
And now it's got to a point where like I went home for my birthday, and my parents like still doing the same jobs but just getting higher paid, and because they don't have any dependencies, like their three kids aren't depending on them anymore. I just assumed they're rolling in dough, and so it's like Mum's so willing to spend money on me now, and it's like I don't even have anything. I don't even have anything to ask for you for.
Yeah,
It's just like I'm not going to ask you to pay my rent this month. It's like, what do you want for your birthday? I was like, socks. I need some socks.
Winter's coming around.
I'm rolling around with socks and holes in them. Load me up. It was that and a Nando's gift card and a bit of cash.
Oh, that's.
And I was like, that's perfect. That's the most I could ask for. But I wish I wanted all these flashy little expensive toys now, and when we've got money to burn, apparently.
But like I don't know how you see it, but I find that kind of not poetic. Poetic's not the word, but you get what I'm trying to say. It's like
sort of like
when
that
you're younger,
ironic in a way. Poetically, like poetic irony sort of thing.
Yeah, like when you're younger and you wanted, this, you wanted the flashiest shoes, you wanted the new console, the new TV, all that. It was not like, it was out of the question. But now that we can get it, it's like, well, actually we realize we don't need any of those. And we're just having a good time anyways.
And it's also just like, if I really wanted it, I could just get it myself.
Exactly.
Like, and it's just got to that point where it's like the magic is gone from it.
Yeah.
Like, I'd just be happy to have dinner and some cake for my birthday now. I'd be stoked with that.
Yeah.
Like, that's a great birthday. Whereas back in the day, it's like, have you ever seen Harry Potter?
Yeah.
Like, the Harry Potter movies? And you know in the first one where little Dudley, Harry's cousin, goes to his uncle, he goes, how many are there about the Christmas presents? And he goes, 32, counted them myself. And he goes, 32, but last year there was 33. That's how it was as a kid.
Wait, yo, your impression is so accurate, though. What the hell is going on, bro? I have to point it out.
But, like, as a kid, you're just like, I just want as many presents, and I want fucking all of them. And now it's like, I just need some undies. All of mine have shit stains and holes in the crotch. Like, give me a refresh. Sorry, I mean, they've just got holes in the crotch. And, give me a refresh now. Fresh underwear, please, Mum.
Yeah, forget about the stains. I didn't hear nothing about the stains, bro.
The what?
The what? Sorry. The lack of sleep. Remember, we were talking about lack of sleep.
Yeah, no. Crazy.
Yeah.
I think, these mics, man, they say some weird things.
I think it's the Zoom call, bro. The connection's not that good.
Is there a third person in this call?
Is this the stains that came to life?
What? No. Sorry. I don't know what you're on about. I have to get a pair of my underwear out now to prove my innocence.
No, you're good.
Yeah, we better not. We're risking too much then.
Yeah.
Don't want to prove myself guilty.
Physical evidence comes out.
That's why you get brown underwear.
It looks stylish too, bro. It looks stylish too.
Yeah. No, I might have to move on from that. Do we have anything else? You want to wrap that up with that?
I can't. Do you want to talk about anything else? We could wrap up right now, actually.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy to wrap up. I feel like we covered it.
All right. Well,
I feel like we ended on a pretty good note there.
Yeah. Have you heard about the brown notes where?
Yeah.
You know the
that's
thing
the issue.
that makes you
poop?
That's the
issue, man. Yeah, that's the issue. I hear it all too often. I think one of my neighbors, man, they've got like a gong or something that plays it. Oh no. I'm gonna have to start.
You know them, bro. You know them. You know what they're like.
Crazy people, man.
Cray.
Some people just want to watch the world burn. Last thing, wildest question. You can cut this out if you want.
Sure.
When was the last time you shit yourself? Because I remember mine was like 4 years ago, and I had really bad gastro, and like I lost 5 kilos over a weekend. Like, it was that bad.
Bro.
And it was like every half an hour I was waking up trying to sleep, like going to the toilet.
Yeah.
And I remember at one point I woke up like 1 a.m. and I was just like, oh, fuck, it's too late. It's walk to the toilet, just walk a shame in the middle of the night. Went, oh, these are getting thrown in the bin.
Fair enough.
This is a terrible way to wake up. Wash him out, just chuck him back on. Give him a little rinse.
Just go.
Yeah. Like, oh man, it was the most humbling thing ever when you're a fully grown adult and you wake up and you yourself.
Soil yourself.
Like, I'm glad that it's only happened then with gastro, but man.
I mean, that's a good reason to do so.
Yeah, oh, great reason. Still doesn't make it any better.
No, I would argue it makes it better.
I think it makes it not as bad.
Exactly.
Nothing.
It makes it lighter.
Nothing can make. Oh, trust me, it was not light. Nothing can make shitting yourself better. Yeah. It's just it can just be worse.
Yeah. It's neutral. It's a little bit below neutral to horrible.
Yeah.
For me, I can't remember like the last time I proper like unloaded on myself. Like dumpster, you know how like, have you seen the videos where, like these new age dumpster trucks where they hook the big dumpsters and they go, they pour
and it all
out.
just comes out.
Yeah. So I can't remember the last time I did that, but I'd say like there are times where I thought it was just a fart. And and like a little dookie comes out. Just to say hi. Just a little turtle poking out of the shell.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's the one. Exactly. Actually, I had a mate. Great, like one of the funniest things ever. We would go out and there was 3 of us, and we'd always stay at the one mate's. And the next morning, and because like I'm such an asshole, so like we're at his place and he farts, and then we all sort of laugh, and then a little bit later he goes to the toilet. And then me and my mate Ian are just sitting there, and then Ian just starts pissing himself laughing, looking at his phone. And I was like, "What's going on?" He's like, the other mate. He's like, he just messaged me. He said, "Don't tell Gooch, but I shit myself. Can you bring me some undies?" I was cracking up. It was one of the funniest things ever. It was, oh man.
Don't tell Hayden.
Don't tell him. First thing he does, proceeds to tell me. That's my boy.
No matter what, don't tell him.
Do not tell this guy. Like, fair enough, man. Because here I am now, years later, telling
on a podcast.
Publicly sharing this story. I forewent the name, but if anyone's willing to stick out like the hour and a half, 2 hours of this to get to the end, they're gonna know.
This is the golden nugget, literally.
All right, should we wrap up with that one? I feel like that's the best way you could call it.
All right, guys, thank you for tuning in. Hayden, thank you so much. This has genuinely been like the funniest podcast episode I've recorded until now. Like,
oh man, this has been a great chat. It's been so good to catch up with you, man.
Bro, I appreciate you, and I would love to have you back on to just talk about anything. Like initially in my head I was thinking like we could talk about footy and talk about Australia and my experience and all that, but we can talk about anything and everything.
Man, we could just. My God. You said that to me. You were like, it doesn't have to be just about footy, and I was like, this is you and me. This conversation is just going to go,
bro. Literally
to
anything,
all sorts of places.
Yeah, exactly.
And it did. Exactly. And it absolutely did.
We're well-rounded people.
Exactly.
Who knows
what we're going to talk about next? Bit of politics, maybe next time.
Maybe. Ooh.
I'll brush up on my CIA conspiracy theories. I'll dish up something funky.
Actually, that would be a good one to talk about, actually.
Oh, shit, that would be, yeah.
That would be a lot of fun.
Next time we'll just come with a bunch of conspiracy theories.
Yeah, I'll bring my tinfoil hat. There won't be a headphones, it's just tinfoil hat.
Yeah, tinfoil hat.
Yeah. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Hayden, thank you so much for blessing us with your time and your energy and everything. It's been an absolute pleasure. If you want, I could drop your links down in the description and your podcast and whatever it is. I would love to share it. Whoever wants to check it out.
Absolutely, yeah. It is called the Footy Yarn. I probably should have stated that one early. Just went the whole time, didn't even say the name of it. Goes to show how much I care. I come on and just don't even market it at all.
Well, we'll put that on the description for sure.
Yeah.
And
Put it in there.
do go check it out and do go support Hayden as well. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Subscribe, follow, all that. Look out for the clips that'll be coming out on the socials. And with that being said, it's been me and the amazing my brother Hayden. So yeah, we're out. Peace.